Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on our next video around the generosity crisis in the nonprofit community. This topic, we're really going to focus on reserve levels and the managing and developing the budget process for nonprofits. And what we talk about internally a lot of times is the budget is one thing, it's great, but it also doesn't necessarily align with the cash flows of your organization.
Right.
And then how you manage that budget, how you develop a budget to ensure you have the right reserves in case for some reason the organization isn't actually able to achieve the budget from a funding or donor level. So why don't you kind of give us your thoughts, Laura?
Yeah, many times I see when annual budgets are prepared, the funding is spread out evenly over the next 12 months. Well, it might not be even. And so that really takes a toll on your cash reserves if you don't have an even level of funding, because as we all know, every 2 weeks somebody gets a paycheck. And so that's going to happen no matter what every single month. And being able to manage to that, I always recommend during the budgeting process that not only are you looking at that surplus or deficit budget, but you're also looking at what a 12-month cash roll forward would show you, because that's going to be your forecasting of cash over those 12 months, and it will show you those dips and valleys where you're going to need to potentially pull from reserves in order to meet some of your expense obligations that are cash driven.
Yeah, and I like to talk about, yes, we are nonprofit organizations. Yes, we are serving the community. We have a mission, but I think it's always important to look at the financial side of the organization somewhat from a for-profit mindset. We want to make sure we're managing fiscally and being responsible. We also want to make sure that we're managing, that we don't necessarily have a zero net budget, right? If we do, we're not leaving ourselves much flexibility from a cash flow perspective. And then we're also managing year to year without being able to plan appropriately as we look forward long term. I'd say at minimum case, it's probably recommended to have multiple budgets. One where you have, here's our budget, and then maybe you have some different scenarios if certain things work out or don't work out. But maybe you can give a little bit more insight on that as it relates to what successful organizations have done.
This is where I think this will lead great into our next series about technology, because there's some great technology out there that helps you do some of the scenario planning that you're talking about. You might be able to give a certain level of COLA, cost of living adjustment to your staff. You might want to scenario out several different levels to see what you could potentially handle. And then you can also piece together different funding models based on the types of funding you think that might be out there, so that you have some different assumptions in those different scenarios. I think there's some great technology that can help you do that. But again, like going back to the just really being more forward thinking. And I think it's so great that you talked about the for-profit space, because yes, you call that actually profit, right, or loss. And in the nonprofit space, you wouldn't say the word profit, but it's okay to have a surplus.
Yeah.
And all it means is that surplus is going to be pouring back into the mission of your organization and ultimately help you be sustainable. And if you think about what your donor would want, that's what they would want.
Yeah.
They would want for you to last as long as possible, and to be able to keep doing the good work that you're doing.
Yep.